10 countries where Islam faces severe restrictions or bans. Religious freedom is a cornerstone of human rights, yet in some parts of the world, the practice of Islam is heavily restricted or outright prohibited. These restrictions often stem from a complex interplay of historical, cultural, political, and social factors, including efforts to maintain national identity, ensure social cohesion, or address perceived security threats. In this exploration, we delve into 10 countries where Islam faces significant limitations, examining the reasons behind these policies and their impact on Muslim communities. Halfway through, we'll also uncover the only European region where over 90% of the population is Muslim, shedding light on its unique historical context. Let's begin this revealing journey. 10. Slovakia. Slovakia, a Central European nation, has implemented policies that effectively restrict the practice of Islam. With a population of approximately 5.4 million, Slovakia is predominantly Christian, with Roman Catholicism as the dominant faith. The country's 2016 law on religious registration requires a faith group to have at least 50,000 members to be officially recognized, a threshold that effectively bars Islam from gaining legal status, as the Muslim population is estimated at less than 5,000. This law prevents Muslim communities from establishing mosques, accessing public funding, or conducting official religious ceremonies. The rationale behind these restrictions is tied to Slovakia's emphasis on preserving its Christian heritage and cultural homogeneity, particularly in the context of rising anti-immigrant sentiment in Europe. While Slovakia maintains an open stance toward tourism and commerce, its policies reflect a cautious approach to religious diversity. Critics argue that these measures infringe on religious freedom, while supporters claim they protect national identity in a small, relatively homogeneous state. The absence of a significant Muslim community means these laws are largely symbolic, but they still pose challenges for practicing Muslims. 9. Andorra. Nestled between France and Spain, Andorra is a tiny principality with a population of about 80,000, predominantly Catholic. While Andorra's constitution guarantees religious freedom, the practice of Islam faces implicit restrictions due to the country's strong Catholic tradition and lack of infrastructure for minority religions. There are no officially recognized mosques, and the small Muslim community, mostly immigrants, faces bureaucratic hurdles in organizing religious activities or establishing places of worship. These restrictions reflect Andorra's prioritization of its historical Catholic identity, which is deeply embedded in its culture and governance. The government's cautious approach to non-Christian religions is driven by a desire to maintain social cohesion in a small tourism-driven economy. However, the lack of formal bans means that Muslims can practice privately, though public expressions of faith are limited. This situation highlights the tension between cultural preservation and religious pluralism in microstates, where diversity is often viewed as a potential challenge to national unity. 8. Laos. In Southeast Asia, Laos, a predominantly Buddhist country with a population of around 7.5 million, imposes significant restrictions on Islam. The Muslim population, estimated at less than 1% of the total, consists mainly of immigrants and descendants of South Asian traders. Since the 1990s, the Lao government has regulated religious activities to maintain Buddhist dominance and prevent social tensions. Policies include restrictions on mosque construction, limitations on public worship, and prohibitions on proselytizing. The government's approach is rooted in its commitment to preserving Laos's Buddhist heritage, which is seen as integral to its national identity.
The small Muslim community faces challenges in organizing religious events or expanding their presence, with authorities closely monitoring activities to prevent perceived threats to social harmony. Human rights organizations have criticized these policies for restricting religious freedom, arguing that they marginalize minority communities. Laos's case underscores the challenges of balancing cultural preservation with the rights of religious minorities in a globalized world. 7. Bhutan. The Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan, known for its philosophy of gross national happiness, is another nation where Islam faces strict limitations. With a population of approximately 800,000, Bhutan is overwhelmingly Buddhist, and its constitution designates Buddhism as the state religion. Laws prohibit proselytizing and the construction of non-Buddhist places of worship, effectively restricting the practice of Islam. The Muslim population, primarily consisting of a small number of immigrants, is negligible. Bhutan's policies are driven by a desire to protect its unique cultural and religious identity, which the government views as essential to national unity in a small, geographically isolated country. These measures, however, have sparked debates about religious freedom as they limit the ability of Muslims and other minorities to practice their faith openly. Bhutan's approach illustrates the delicate balance between preserving tradition and accommodating diversity in a nation that prioritizes cultural homogeneity. 6. Angola. In Africa, Angola presents a unique case where Islam is heavily restricted despite the country's ethnic and religious diversity. With a population of about 35 million, Angola is predominantly Christian, with Catholicism and Protestantism dominating. Since the early 2000s, the government has implemented laws restricting Islamic practices, including bans on public religious activities and mosque construction. The Muslim population, estimated at less than 1%, faces surveillance and bureaucratic obstacles. The Angolan government justifies these measures as necessary to prevent interreligious tensions and promote national unity in a country with a history of civil conflict. However, these policies have drawn criticism from human rights groups who argue that they violate religious freedom and marginalize Muslim communities. The restrictions create a climate where Muslims must practice their faith discreetly, limiting their ability to organize or express their religious identity publicly. Angola's case reflects the broader challenge of managing religious diversity in post-conflict societies.
Number 5. Myanmar. Myanmar, a Southeast Asian nation with a population of about 54 million, is marked by significant religious and ethnic tensions, particularly concerning its Muslim Rohingya minority. The Rohingya, numbering around 1 million, face severe persecution, including restrictions on religious practices, destruction of mosques, and forced displacement. Since the 2010s, government policies have effectively suppressed Islam in Rohingya majority areas, contributing to a humanitarian crisis. The Myanmar government justifies these measures as necessary to counter separatism and maintain national unity in a predominantly Buddhist country. However, the systematic marginalization of the Rohingya, who are often denied citizenship, has led to international condemnation for human rights abuses, including accusations of genocide. The crisis highlights the devastating consequences of religious intolerance in ethnically diverse societies, where state policies can exacerbate divisions and lead to widespread suffering. Number 4. Eritrea. In the Horn of Africa, Eritrea, with a population of about 3.7 million, imposes strict controls on religious practices, including Islam, despite Muslims constituting roughly 36% of the population. Since gaining independence in 1993, the Eritrean government has maintained an authoritarian regime that restricts religious freedom for all faiths not officially recognized: Sunni Islam, Eritrean Orthodox Christianity, Roman Catholicism, and Lutheranism. Even recognized Muslim communities face limitations, such as bans on building mosques without state approval and surveillance of religious activities. The government's policies are driven by a desire to maintain control and prevent perceived threats to national security. These restrictions create a climate of fear, where Muslims face challenges in practicing their faith openly. Eritrea's approach reflects a broader trend of authoritarian regimes prioritizing state control over individual freedoms, raising concerns about human rights violations. Number 3. China, Xinjiang region. In China's Xinjiang region, home to the Uyghur Muslim minority, Islam faces severe repression. Xinjiang's population includes about 12 million Uyghurs, who have faced systematic restrictions since 2017, including bans on religious practices, mass detentions in re-education camps, and widespread surveillance. The Chinese government justifies these measures as necessary to combat extremism and separatism, but they have been widely criticized as cultural genocide. Policies include prohibiting Islamic clothing, religious education, and traditional practices, alongside the destruction of mosques. The international community has condemned these actions, citing evidence of forced labor, torture, and cultural erasure. Xinjiang's situation underscores the tension between state security and religious freedom, with profound implications for human rights and regional stability. Number 2. Cuba. A Cuban nation of about 11 million imposes restrictions on Islam as part of its broader control over religious activities. While the Constitution guarantees religious freedom, the government's promotion of state atheism since the 1959 revolution has limited the public practice of Islam. The Muslim community, estimated at a few thousand, faces challenges in building mosques or organizing religious events due to bureaucratic hurdles and state oversight.
These policies reflect Cuba's emphasis on ideological control, with religion viewed as a potential challenge to communist principles. Muslims in Cuba often practice their faith privately to avoid scrutiny, limiting their ability to form a cohesive community. The situation highlights the complexities of religious freedom in socialist states, where state ideology often takes precedence over individual rights. North Korea. At the top of the list is North Korea, a totalitarian state with a population of about 26 million, where Islam, along with all unauthorized religions, is effectively banned. The regime, led by Kim Jong-un, enforces strict control over all aspects of life, including religion, which is seen as a threat to the state's ideology of Juche and the cult of the leader. Religious believers, including Muslims, face imprisonment, forced labor, or execution. The absence of religious freedom in North Korea is part of a broader system of repression, with no public religious expression permitted outside state-sanctioned displays. Defector testimonies and human rights reports indicate severe persecution of religious communities, making North Korea one of the most restrictive environments for Islam and other faiths. This extreme case underscores the profound impact of authoritarianism on religious liberty. Reflections on religious freedom. The countries listed above illustrate a range of approaches to restricting Islam, from explicit bans to implicit policies rooted in cultural or security concerns. These restrictions often reflect deeper tensions between preserving national identity and respecting individual freedoms. In small states like Slovakia and Andorra, the focus is on cultural homogeneity. In authoritarian regimes like North Korea and Eritrea, control is paramount. And in diverse societies like Myanmar, ethnic and religious tensions drive repression. These examples raise critical questions about the balance between state authority and religious freedom. While governments may prioritize stability or tradition, such policies often come at the cost of human rights, marginalizing minority communities and fueling tensions. Understanding these dynamics is essential for fostering dialogue and advocating for greater religious tolerance in an interconnected world. If this exploration has sparked your interest, consider diving deeper into the complexities of global religious freedom. Share your thoughts and stay tuned for more insights into the forces shaping our world.